morning to all. First of all, I would like to thank each one of you for joining this 5 days international conference. I feel great proud to say that this conference has been organized by our department for over 5 years and has a chronicle huge success each year. The department organized such conference to enlighten the young minds and promote the participations of the researchers at all levels. I bid a very warm welcome to our chairperson, Dr. Sathish Kumar, Associate Professor and Chairperson in the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication in Kuvempu University, who is having a rich experience in the media field and academics, which starts in the way back in 1999. He completed his PhD in Kuvempu University in 2007 in the topic Role of Traditional Folk Art as a Media of Mass Communication. A study with special reference to coastal Karnataka. He has worked in various colleges and universities since 1999 to till date. His articles have been published in many newspapers and magazines. His research contributions cannot be mentioned in short period of time. Let's have a brief look. He has guided 8 PhD scholars and ongoing 4 scholars under him. He have organized and participated, presented, and had been a key speaker and chairperson in more than 116 conferences. He took out his valuable time and joined us today to be a chairperson of this conference. We are really honored to have you with us for today's session, sir. Welcome you, sir. And once again, I thank and welcome you all for this day 2 session for the conference, the theme of digital culture and politics. Now I'll be sharing the today's topics and participants for this presentation. Can we start the session, sir?
Okay, you can start.
Yes, sir. I'll be sharing this screen, sir. Digital culture and politics behind the identity and power. The session 2, media and culture. The chairperson for today's session is Sathish Kumar, sir. Portrayal of farmers in Tamil movies with special reference to movie Kathi, Boomi and Sultan. Hemalatha is going to be the person to present this paper. And the second topic is role of traditional folk and modern media in development communication among Paniya tribes in Nilgiris district. Monisha.M is going to be the presenter. And reflection of social realities in mainstream Indian films, Shrikrishna Pandey. Social media perception towards cultural diversity, a content analysis of hijab controversies, Mohammed the presenter. Korean pop culture and fan-based entrepreneurship in Mizoram. Ladia is going to be the presenter. Exhibition of food in online platform, a study on cultural communication among youth. Sherlyn Suji, a presenter. Subaltered culture codes and symbols in Jai Beam Tamil film. Vasantu Suresh, a presenter. A new media and its mediation among Kanni indigenous people towards their empowerment. Shankar, a presenter. These are the topics which going to be presented in today's conference. And can we start the session, sir, by calling the participants?
Okay, you can start.
Okay. Participant 5. Participant 5.
Yes, a very good morning to one and all present here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to present my paper here. So I am Monisha from Bardar University, pursuing my PhD in Department of Communication and Media Studies, Coimbatore. My focus area is development communication, and today I'm going to present about the role of traditional folk and modern media and development communication among Paniya tribes in the Nilgiris district. So talking about development is actually it should reach all the people. It should not reach only the urban areas or it should not focus on the rural areas. It should also focus the marginalized people and especially the scheduled tribes. In Tamil Nadu, there are 36 scheduled tribes, especially 6 tribal groups. They belong to particular vulnerable tribal group. They are like Todas, Paniyas, Kurumbas, Irulas, Kartanayakans. So these are the 6 scheduled tribes who belong to particular vulnerable tribal group, and they are very much marginalized and secluded. So we have the development means when the famous author Melkot Srinivas, he says that the technological and the empowerment should reach the people for their upliftment in their standard of living, in their way of life. But why I choose particularly this Paniya tribes is that though there are 6 particular vulnerable tribal group people, Paniyas are especially, they are very much marginalized when compared to other tribal groups. So that is why I have taken my population as Paniyas. And development, it should reach all the people. It is not only about reaching the common people. And these people are they are excluded from the mainstream community. And they are very much backward in education. They don't meet their basic amenities, and especially the communication is not there. Language is being the biggest barrier for them. And I think we are living in a technocrated society, and the development has been there for everyone, and there are lots and lots of changes happening in everyone's life towards the betterment or towards the adoption of new technologies. So the media, which can be the accountability to have a developmental state for such marginalized people. And the main objectives of my study is to explore and analyze the socio-economical and cultural status of Paniya tribes. My locale is Nilgiris district, and to study the existing modern mediums and what are the usages, why they are using the modern mediums, and to examine the ownership of modern communication medium, and to suggest the importance of traditional mediums for an effective communication for the tribals. And the theory that I have used is social change theory, which was derived by Dept in 1895. The social change, as I said, the changes should happen within oneself, and also the environment. They are socially, culturally, economically, and politically. There should be something to push them upwards for their changes. So this Durkheim's social change theory is much more suitable, where communication can be the effective medium to reach out the people. So that is why I have used this theory in my study. And the main problem, as I mentioned before, they lack in education, they lack in health facilities. There is no proper communication facilities. Even still, people lack in, like they don't have proper facilities in basic amenities. Still, they follow the child marriage, infanticide, and they face lots of social problems. Actually, they are not aware of what is happening and what is their present stage of life in nowadays. So I think the proper awareness creating an awareness for such marginalized people can help them in developmental process, and the correct medium can be using the proper channel, using the proper medium to reach them. And my research questions are: what are the socio-cultural and economical factors which are influencing the Paniya tribes in Nilgiris district? What are the medium used by the Paniya tribes, and what can be the correct medium that can be used for the development for such marginalized people? And all my review of literature, it states that it can be either social, economic, cultural, or political, or whatever the factors that I have taken for my study. It shows that they don't have a development in socially, economically, culturally, and politically, and the demographic factors is being the biggest impact for them for not coming up in their life. They lack in, they face poverty, illiteracy, and lack of development facilities. Insufficient primary health facilities are not there. Actually, there is no proper occupation for them, and they don't have good income. Their living place and their geographical locale is very poor. They are very much deficient in all the basic things that they want in their life. And these tribal people, they don't know what education is, or they don't know how they should take care of their health, and proper infrastructural facilities is not there. And political leadership, the role of politics is being very much deficient in such places, and those people, they don't have the leadership quality to come up or to take initiatives or to volunteer something, or they don't have any proper communication with the mainstream community. And talking about the social changes, as I said, it should happen within oneself, and also with the environment should help them in coming forward for the development. They have a very strong kinship over towards themselves. They are very much culturally bounded. Though they are culturally bounded, they are very much strong enough in their kinships. They also should have a tolerance, the communication competence, self-determination, and confidence within themselves to come out of the blocks that they have for the development. And that can be happen by giving awareness. So social transition, it should not, it cannot happen just like that. We should keep on influencing them. It is not like influencing. We should keep on informing them. Disseminating the information is very much important here, which should happen social, economical, ideological, and through the political movements. And especially they are very much stuck with their cultural traditions, beliefs, values, and all those things. We should not erode their identity. They should be the same. They have their own identity. They live their own way of life. It's not that we have to go and bombard them with lots of modern technologies and developmental schemes and schemes and programs. It's because they're not aware of how they can develop or how they can come up in their life itself. And through the communication medium, Marshall McLuhan says that medium is a message, so it can easily reach out the people. And after the corona time, I think everyone is having technological advancements, and everyone was owning the phone, where these people were very much poor. They were not, they don't have access to medium. There is no electricity, there is no tower in their areas. So how come they can use a proper medium? How can a medium can be that much effective for them in terms of their development? So talking about development communication, that it is not just going and implementing few schemes or programs in their locale. It will educate, it can transform the people from one stage of life to the next stage. They should have some goals, and they should have a good integration to attain those goals, and where this media can play an influential role in changing people and for the developmental activities by giving awareness. The research methodology that I have adopted is an embedded sequential research method, where I have used both qualitative and quantitative method. They belong to Paniya community, and they speak Paniya language. So I had a translator who will translate that language to my language, and we had a communication. So icebreaker questions were asked in the beginning of my pilot study. And then later I started with the sub questions, and I asked lots of questions which was relevant for my study, and I took my purpose of sampling. And the method that I have followed is participant observation and also the face-to-face interviews. And the results is this, and I have analyzed in percentage. I have actually taken the case studies method, and then I have done it as a quantitative representation of how of the usage of the modern mediums, how many people are actually using the modern mediums. My studies are both qualitative and quantitative, which were a quantitative embedded sequential research design, which was given by Creswell in 2003. And these are my results. Like I have taken 6 case studies, and I have equally divided them as 3 male and 3 female. And the usage of modern mediums, the demographic variables were like their gender, age, geographical locale, occupation, income, and the dependent variable is their education and the usage of ownership of modern mediums and usage of modern mediums, and what are the mediums that they have in their homes and with their within their hands, like television, mobile, Android mobile phone, and the usage of social media apps, radio, and how far they're using the internet to seek the information. So only one person is using television, and one as mobile, and another one mobile, and on one female is using Android mobile and WhatsApp, and they have just the application. They don't know what is the purpose of that application or what should do with that application and all. It's because of their occupation. These people are still slaves for few owners. That owner has provided this Android mobile phone for the communication purpose. That is why this person has got the mobile phone, or else that person also would have not owned this Android mobile. And people, they are not aware, or they don't have any mediums like television or radio or mobile phones. So overall, it's 33.34%, and these are my results, where the usage of modern medium which is very much poor in these places. So coming to the discussion and conclusion, media can influence, so discussion and conclusion, media can play a powerful role in everyone's life, especially when you talk about marginalized people. So when there is no electricity, when there is no proper basic amenities being with these people, empowering them with technology, bombarding or implementing or imposing modern technologies to such marginalized people will not be that much effective. And the authors also who have studied earlier studies have reported that modern mediums cannot be that much effective. And from my study, I could tell that seeing about my population, modern mediums will not be that much effective for these people, and they are very much interested in dramas, songs, dance, all the traditional mediums. So like giving awareness to have a betterment of life can happen with the traditional mediums, and they are like culturally we can go with the traditional medium, so that it will not erase their identity, but there will be an upliftment and development in their way of life. Thank you.
Monisha has presented a well paper, but I have some questions.
Yes, sir.
Is there any traditional program related to development communication in that region?
So we can act mime, dramas, songs and dance like parai and also we can actually sensitize them through the traditional mediums. So they are very much willing to know about such mediums, and they are very much willful in getting to know about these things, the traditional mediums.
I am asking because here in Karnataka, the folk art like Yakshagana, it has been widely used for development communication. Is there such programs in that region?
No, sir. There is no such programs in the geographical area, sir. But from my study, I can sensitize them through these dramas and the traditional folk mediums, which will help them for the development. So I have not, to be very precise, I have not selected any of the traditional mediums. I have to go for the field study, and like after a few observations, I'll be implementing from my study. I'll do it, sir. There is no such programs implemented by government or NGOs, sir.
This question is not related to your topic directly, but for interest, I am asking, what is the impact of COVID-19 on folk artists?
Folk artists, I think we all are using only the modern mediums, and we are not even bothered or known about the folk artist people. So it's like they are suffering, they are facing lots of troubles for their recognition for their artworks. So I think if the researchers who are doing in the stream of development communication and focusing on such marginalized people, I think they can push up this folk artist people to come up in their life. It will be both beneficial for them and as well as to these people.
Because most of the folk artists and also other artists, they were adversely affected by the COVID-19.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Yeah. Any questions from participants?
ID number 19.
Cultural diversity, different and opposite from monoculture. It's a mixture of different cultures in terms of ethnicity, religious practices, clothing, food culture, customs, etc. India is a country with a defining feature of diversity. The leaders work behind the construction of our constitution well address the diversity of India with a fast set of system assured respect to each culture. Article 25 of Indian Constitution assures people of every religion to practice and propagate the same. The very base of this assurance is the tendency of Indian Constitution to celebrate the diversity of this country. At the same time, the Constitution, through Article 15, prohibits any discrimination on the basis of grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, gender, of any kinds of discrimination. Hijab is a veil which covers the head and chest. Hijab is worn by many women in the Muslim community of India. In the recent years, two major controversies happened in South India regarding hijab. The first is the denial of permission of wearing hijab for SPC, which is Students Police Cadet in Kerala. The second one is the denial of entry for the hijab wearing students to government colleges in Udupi and in Karnataka. So basically, I am trying to analyze the attitude and understanding of the social media using people towards this subject, the cultural diversity. I am analyzing this on the ground of this above mentioned two controversies. A review of literature. The literature around the study investigate issues like filter of diversity, different groups or generations, and social media as a fertilizer of interaction between different groups. Duru and friends, Min and Bon, these are the literature I majorly review. After reviewing the literature, it is understood that more cross studies in the context in this cultural diversity, especially when it comes to attitude and understanding, has to be done. Methodology. The current study took up two cases to analyze the attitude of social media users towards cultural diversity. The first one is the denial of permission, as I already mentioned it. And the second one is Karnataka hijab controversies. The study performs a content analysis on Facebook comments of news regarding the mentioned issues. So I took four online portals which are also mainstream media, which are Panorama News TV, Madhubali News, Media One TV, Report to. The study period is January to February 2022. These are the news. I analyzed the comments. Basically, the portal share their news in their Facebook page. And many discussions happen in the comment box of the respective users. So I took four news, one from Panorama Online, and one from Madhubali News, one from Media One TV, one from Report Channel. So two news are based on the Karnataka hijab issue, and two news are based on the Kerala SPC hijab issue. So when it comes to findings, total number of comments are Madhubali News 45 comments, Panorama Online 67 comments, Media One TV 821 comments, reported 212 comments. So the major themes regarding the understanding of or attitude towards cultural diversity are in this ground: misunderstanding between hijab, niqab, and burqa, and uniform versus diversity, personal attacks, religious freedom as individual freedom. explain in brief of its themes. So there is a misunderstanding between hijab, niqab, and burqa identified. Many people think hijab is the like face cover, like you can see in the screen. So they oppose intentionally or unintentionally based on that misunderstanding. So in this particular comment, you can see that it's the particular person misunderstood burqa or hijab. And that kind of misunderstanding is there. And the second theme is uniform versus diversity. Many people understand uniform as a concept standing outside the concept of diversity. In fact, Indian Constitution recognizes that cultural diversity. Our motto is only unity amidst diversity. So the uniform, the concept called uniform should not be out of this concept of diversity. But many people try to establish that uniform is out of the concept of diversity. And another theme is personal attacks. In this comment, the commenter describes the hijab as a black shark, like a black shark. It's a kind of a personal attack. So that also happens in the grounds of cultural diversity. And the final theme is religious freedom as individual freedom. Religious freedom is a form of an individual freedom. It's a practice of an individual. So we have to see it like that, not like freedom of a whole bunch of people or whole society. So the conclusion is the study analyzes the understanding and attitude towards cultural diversity on the ground of which issues took place in Karnataka and Kerala. The study found misunderstanding, binary between uniformity and diversity, and personal attacks as the issues involved in the discussions about diversity. The study recommends awareness programs and campaigns on cultural diversity and intercultural education. And to add, intercultural education, the most proper medium is social media only. So let me conclude my presentation, and this is the first version of my this study, and your comments and opinions will be me. Once again, thank you for the questions and comments. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a nice presentation. Sir?
Okay. Mohammed,
Sir.
You have selected hijab issue both in Karnataka and Kerala, but you have selected only the channels from Kerala. You might have selected channels from Karnataka also.
Yes, sir. But
If you,
yeah. So the main thing is my inability to understand the language of Kannada. That's one thing. And as I said, this is the first version. When I'm directing the paper, I will also try to include national media and also Kannada media.
You can compare national media also, English media.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
English channels you can compare.
Yes,
And then, what is your opinion about the new trend to popularize the uniform culture?
I don't agree with the concept of uniform as a unified thing. It has to include the diversity as we always done. The concept of India is merely diversity. The unity amidst diversity. That's what we need, in my personal opinion.
Participant can ask questions.
Participants, you can ask questions now.
So, honorable chair and fellow members and participants, now without losing any time, I'm coming on the point. So, as my topic is reflection of social realities in mainstream Indian films, defining film subject of any film needs to dissect the content of film and its narrative style, which give us an idea about its genre. Genre is the word which categorizes films based on its nature or subject. In this paper, I shall be discussing about the process and truth value in subject in films coming from reality or fiction. So, what is reality and what is fiction? Films or literature that shows imaginary people, events, and stories are fiction. Cinematic realists acknowledge that fiction films shows us real people, real event, and real places in order to represent fictional people, fictional objects, and fictional places and construct a narrative. This allows viewers to engage cognitively in order to enable themselves to understand those narratives. In storytelling, fiction is the convenient way to portray a story which reflects some truth value regarding human life. In myths, folk tales, and legends, storytellers try to invent truth via reality and fiction. Famous film theorist André Bazin was one of the founding editor of the influential film magazine Cahiers du Cinéma, identified with realism and its branches. So, according to him, these are few branches of realism, which reads true realism, pseudo-realism, expressionist realism, impressionist realism, poetic realism, photographic realism, realism of space, realism of expression, and absolute realism. He is the one who associated realism in the arts, including cinematic art. He also discussed about term integral realism and its ability to reproduce reality as it is rather than reality as it is interpreted by the director of the film. Baza's realism was based on photographic medium, cinematic art form. Another film theorist, Siegfried Kraka, also classified cinematic realism in many terms. In his book, Theory of Film, The Redemption of Physical Reality, published in 1960, he wrote of naive realism, camera realism, cinematic realism, surrealism, and social realism. Kraka's realism was, in fact, camera realism. Baza and Krakar were concerned with photographic reality and its association with art criticism and emphasized on reduction of different kind of realism in photography over representation in photography. Cinematic realism is a term we try to search in many cinematic presentation. There are three kinds of cinematic presentation, which are object generated cinematic presentation, which includes puppetry art, handmade generated, which includes flip book, and geotrope, which is ancient Troy, which is used to reproduce the illusion of moving images. And the third one and most important is mechanically generated, which is the motion picture and exists as cinema and television. So there is another theorist, Mr. God. In his book, The Philosophy of Cinematic Art, he discussed about 5 kinds of realism in moving images. The first one is content realism, photorealism, ontological realism, epistemic realism, and perceptual realism. Here, first two points are important to understand the cinematic realism in brief, is content realism and photorealism. Content realism is in what is represented in narrative by story and other components like sound, music, and graphics. And in photorealism, it is how being presented. Other points mentioned above move this debate forward towards cinematic aesthetic and its metaphysical. Each of these approaches gets something right about film. Movies do have an important tie to reality, and that tie consists in how they can show us the world in a way that other forms can't. In order to analyze movies and work towards a proper theory of film meaning, we need to acknowledge film's presentation of sight and sound and how that presentation makes it importantly unique. We also need to try to make sense of a concept of film communication, and as the while we mistake talking about fiction films without talking about fiction. About making sense of how movies are narrative art form and tell stories with their images and sound and construct facts within those stories. So now returning to the main theme of the research paper, which is reflection of social realities in mainstream films. Social realities are broader terms used to describe the various realities which exist in society on each and every level, be it class reality, caste reality, religion reality, economical reality, cultural reality, gender reality, and political reality. These are the branches of any social structure that plays a vital role to understand the social fabrics in general. Most of Indian films lack the depiction of representation of reality in terms of content realism, which comes from such storyline which are real in its ontological values. Its characters are real in natural and proceeding of events are based on a radical cause and effect relationship. Mainstream films are mostly star-driven films which made to serve sole purpose of entertainment and revenue generation. But apart from all these debates, there are few films and filmmakers who try to maintain the fine balance between storyline and promise of showing the reality in fiction or depiction of reality in cinematic realism. So here I'm quoting a quote, Mr. Christopher Nolan, which he stated, I quote, "Cinematic reality does not mean the literal reality, but reality in terms of conviction in storytelling and characters, setting the place where characters are coming from." I unquote. So now talking about the realism and cinematic realism in mainstream films, I have chosen the first film is Shanghai, directed by Diwakar Banerjee, got released in 2012. The subject of this film is a political drama and thriller. Subject selection of this film is simply that it's an adaptation of Greek political novel Z by Vasilis Vasikoulos, which is Indianized for film purpose. So here Diwakar Banerjee and Urmi Juvekar, the co-writer of the film, choose a subject which is more real than reality, the socio-political situation of this country. Though film's plot is fiction, so the character and story are also fiction, but representing the reality in cinematic, realist manner. The setting, Bharatnagar of Shanghai film, is a fictional world, but its visual depiction is so real. People of Bharatnagar are representing the country, India, from north to south. The politicians who are corrupt in moral, ethical, and political values like Deshnayak, bureaucrats who are balancing the power between politicians and finding little benefits in those chunks for themselves and their relatives like Kaul Saab, and politician who occupies the highest post is highly corrupted and ignorant like Madam Ji. The physical reality of the film Shanghai is not limited to visuals of setting, it reflects in character performance also. The performative ontologies of character are more representational than they appear on screen. The language of dialogue and its meaning transcends physical reality of visuals and leads to a bigger context. After all, we can say all these small nuances are coming from subject. The other elements of narrative, such as music and songs, are also used in cinematic realist way. Seeing the character Bhaggu and Jogi, played by Imran Hashmi, singing Bharat Mata Ki Jai, totally connects audience to the reality of contemporary situation via reality. The above discussion is showing that choosing film subject from fiction and making it realist, putting real context in narrative is something comes from writers and directors' decision. So now another film, Jai Bhim, which is a critically acclaimed Tamil film directed by T.J. Nanavel, is legal drama based on the exploitation of Dalits and other associated pitfalls of system such as judicial process, custodial violence, police torture, and lockup murder. Surya, a superstar, is the lead character of this film, plays a role of savior for these oppressed. On silver screen, it looks fascinating because of its photorealist images and portrayal, but does it really represent the reality? No. But in terms of cinematic realism, we can say more or less this film achieved a promise to deliver cinematic realism with the magnetic charisma of superstar Surya. Though film contains some natural context from real life, which we experience, and that help us to connect with the narrative being delivered on screen through fiction, we interpret the emotional experience which character is going through by seeing facial expression and its counterparts. As far as emotions are real and it is connecting with causal effect of the events, audience believe in narrative, character, and overall in story. Thus, fiction achieve a certain value of cinematic reality in total. Now, coming on the conclusion, based on the above argument, we can say that reflection of realism in cinema is limited with few films and filmmakers. Filmmakers like Diwakar Banerjee, filmmakers like Anubhav Sinha and T.J. Nanavel try to portray the realism, but what other factors making these exercise limited are subject of further research and debate. So in this paper, I have used a few references, which are Andre Bazin's What is Cinema, Siegfried Kracker's theory of film reduction of physical reality, Gregory Curry's image and mind, film philosophy and cognitive science, and Gary Gard's philosophy of cinematic art, and Deleuze's cinema, the moment image. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It was an interesting presentation. Sir?
Okay.
Yes. Can ask.
Mr. Shrikrishna Pandey,
Yes, sir.
I have one doubt in your title. I think mainstream is one word, but you made two words, mainstream.
Yes, sir. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reflection of social realities in mainstream.
Then one
Okay,
question.
sir, I'll correct it. I'll correct it.
How did you select these two films?
The selection was, it was a random choice because Shanghai is one film which I was influenced for.
Okay, good. So my presentation will be on Korean pop culture and fan-based entrepreneurship in Mizoram. So I'll start with the introduction, then I'll move to the theoretical framework, then to the objectives, methodology, findings, and lastly the conclusion. So the popularity of Korean pop culture across the world has made Hallyu, which translates to the Korean wave, a global phenomenon. So according to the annual report Global Hallyu 2020, published by Korea Foundation, which is a public diplomacy organization in cooperation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Korea, there were 1,835 Hallyu fans club with 104 million members in 98 countries as of September 2020. So when we say Korean wave, Hallyu, it means Korean wave. It refers to the influence of South Korean culture, which has been going on since the 1990s. So these two words, Hallyu and Korean wave, were officially included in the Oxford English Dictionary in 2021. So Hallyu fandom has been going all over the world, starting with TV dramas, then K-pop music, serial films, and movies, and now it includes the Korean cosmetics, the cuisines, the Korean-inspired fashion, as well as the Korean lifestyle. And the introduction of the internet, along with social media, has played a major role in the spread of Hallyu. And also the international outlets like Netflix, and YouTube lead to a growth in Hallyu and BTS globally. And Hallyu fans can now be found in all parts of the world and among different ethnic groups, despite having their largest presence in the Asian region. And Mizoram, which is the southernmost landlocked state within India's northeast region, is not an exception as well. This Hallyu makes its entry in Mizoram in the early millennial in the form of Korean serials, which are later dubbed in Mizo language by the local cable network. And the influence of Hallyu is at its peak currently with the high rise in social media users among the Mizo youth. So the mastery of these internet tools by the so-called Hallyu fans could explain their increased participation in online consumption and control of online fandom networks or club. And this growth of K-pop fans in the state leads to the emergence of entrepreneurs. This we call them fan entrepreneurs because they solely run their business selling K-pop products, with most of their goods being imported directly from the South Korea. So the theoretical framework for this research is the social identity theory proposed by Frochard and Glubert in 2011. And under this theory, there are three types of entrepreneur social identity: the Darwinian, communitarian, and missionary. The Darwinian entrepreneurs are driven by economic benefits and make decisions mainly to establish strong, profitable new ventures, while the communitarian identity resembles the notion of user entrepreneur, in which users stumble on ideas through their use and share them with the community. And the missionary identity is closely related to social entrepreneurship, and this type of entrepreneurs hold strong beliefs in their firm as a vehicle for changing some aspect of the society. The objectives are to find out K-pop fan entrepreneurs in Mizoram and to study how K-pop fans served as efficient agents for the marketing of Korean products, to study how their fandom empower entrepreneurs to explore new business and social opportunities, and to study the role of these entrepreneurs as cultural agents. The methodology used is a qualitative method of semi-structured interviews with entrepreneurs who engage in selling authentic Korean products, ranging from skincare products and cosmetics, K-pop merches, and cosmetibles. The selection of participants was based on the purposive sampling method, and a total of 15 participants were selected. The participants were contacted via direct messages and phone calls, and once they were willing to participate, the time and place for the interview were decided. And the interview lasted for about 60 to 120 minutes for each participant. Most of the interviews took place at their shops and some at home as their business was home-based. The participants were all female and between the age of 20 to 35 years. So the findings. First, the emergence of Hallyu fan entrepreneurs. This Hallyu-based entrepreneurship is a very recent venture in Mizoram, but it blooms rapidly with dynamism. These days, several people sell Korean products along with other items. But since in this paper our focus was only on those entrepreneurs who solely base their business on Korean products alone, we identified those particular entrepreneurs and their business, and we found out that all the business of the participants were based in Aizawl, the capital of Mizoram. Most of the participants had online shopping pages on Instagram and Facebook, as well as shopping groups in WhatsApp, which will be discussed later. And based on our findings, the emergence of exclusively Korean-based business was in 2016. But however, as mentioned earlier, there was not much gap between the first, second, third, and so on, as they overlap and bloom rapidly. And all the participants were exposed to Korean pop culture ever since they were teenagers through K-pop dramas and K-pop music. The second, fandom leads to entrepreneurship. So based on the 15 interviews with the entrepreneurs, all of them defined themselves as Hallyu fans and explicitly said that fandom is what brought them to start their business. Many of them state that their family members, especially their parents and older ones, such as their grandparents or uncles or aunts, did not fully support their choice of business, but they said they were happy with their choices. And I will give only one instances. This girl, this young woman, Sami, said that she was obsessed with Korean skincare, which she watched and learned from YouTube. And first, she did an experiment of those products on herself for 2 years, along with the consultation of skin specialists as well as like self-studying. And after seeing positive results on her skin, she thought she could turn her obsession with Korean skincare into business. And she quoted that all Korean fans know how beautiful and smooth their skin is. We are all obsessed with them. We all want beautiful skin like theirs. So knowing this, and also since I have a deep passion for Korean skincare myself, I started this business. So despite having another full-time job and a toddler to take care of, she said that she would like to continue her business as long as she could. So this is the type of entrepreneurs that like communitarian identity that we've discussed under the social identity theory, where the entrepreneurs stumbled on ideas through their use and share them with the community. Number three is the role of entrepreneurs as cultural agent. So it is obvious that the overall majority of the Mizo fans have never been to Korea and never will be. And this is a very reasonable situation due to the geographical distance and high cost of traveling. And fans experience Korean culture mostly through Korean TV dramas and K-pop to the extent that fandom itself becomes an imaginary journey. At the same time, Hallyu is domesticated by local fan communities and serves as a means to connect one's own identity with an imaginary imaginary Hallyu land. So fan entrepreneurs play a very important role in creating Koreanness at home and localized Hallyu by supplying authentic Korean products at affordable prices. The community as a whole enjoy, consume or practice Hallyu brought about by the fans, be it skincare products, cuisine or fashion, knowingly or unknowingly. So okay, so I'll just give one instances. Diki, she's 33 years old who owned a Korean-based cafe. She said that her customer included not only the youth but older people as well. Many a time, she said that older people in their 60s just pop in and sit down and order whatever they see from the menu without any clue. They do not even know that they entered into a Korean cafe. But she said that it turns out that they enjoyed the food. Some of them even became her regular customers. So this is this kind of fan entrepreneurs identify themselves as missionary identity because she said that when I see them enjoying their Korean dishes, I feel as if I let them taste the Korean culture. And number 4 is extending K-pop merchandise outside the state. Mizoram was Manipur was the first state in the country to have encountered Hallyu. The Korean media invaded Manipuri homes in the early uh, 2001 as Bollywood and Hindi channels were banned. Cheap pirated Korean CDs were available in the local market, which facilitates the consumption of Korean media among the Manipuri. So, so we can see that K-pop fans scattered all over the country, and based on our finding, Instagram was the main and the most popular platform for their business. Some of them use multiple platforms. Most of the participants use both Instagram and WhatsApp. So, Hallyu business and stability. Based on the interview, most of the participants said that even though Mizoram has a small population, the Korean product-based business provides a stable income for them, while a few of them believe that it would not be adequate to completely rely on them and that it might be good to put them as a source of side income. So when we asked about their dealers, the entrepreneurs told us that they had a direct connection with the company or with brokers from South Korea and other Asian countries like China and Hong Kong. K-pop merchandise sellers would offer the official merchandise directly from South Korea, and other merch and accessories are often from China. But during this pandemic, they faced some problem with the shipment from foreign countries. But other than that, they said that the importing Korean products is the same as those other imported products in the market. And the last one in our finding, fan entrepreneurs and the challenges. The older generation in Mizoram often whines about the fashion of today's youth. They frequently mention this in many public gatherings, like they blame the Korean way for this imitation of fashion. And they believe that K-pop male singers have a feminine nature which is imitated by Mizo boys to the detriment of their masculinity. There is an organization which is called the Seoul Reunification Organization. They work for the cultural preservation and unity of the Mizo. And they believe that Mizo culture is diluted by the Korean wave. The president of the Zoro Youth Wing said that while we are striving for unity of the Zo nation, Korean films have resulted the youth showing contempt towards Mizo tradition and lifestyle. So we can see that the fan entrepreneurs of Korean products are often not welcome, especially by the older people. So I just want to give one example. One of our interviewers of this K-pop merchants. Okay, she said that when she started her business, her biggest opponent was her grandmother. And she said that she could not understand what she was selling, and she said that they were wasteful items. Yeah, so we can see they are not often welcome. So for the conclusion, Hallyu is getting global acceptance, although millions are skeptical about the continuity of its popularity, viewing it more as a passing fashion. And many research scholars try to study the social, cultural, and economic impacts it has on different aspects of a particular society or cultures. And from the result of their studies, it is clear that the Korean wave hits today's generation much harder than before. And dedicated Hallyu fans are the main promoter. It is indeed the fans, worshippers who are the real promoters of Hallyu, even in places where people know very little about Korea. And Hallyu fandom has released a great amount of entrepreneurial energy in Mizoram. The resulting entrepreneurial activities support Hallyu in return by expanding its reach to new communities. In this context, the unintended consequence of Hallyu creating entrepreneurs with new platforms from Hallyu distribution are no less important than the intended and direct consequences of Hallyu production and marketing. So the significant role played by these fan entrepreneurs in the spread of Hallyu should not be underestimated. And based on our findings, most of the fan entrepreneurs in Mizoram can be identified as the communitarian and missionaries. Communitarians in the sense that most of them resemble the concept of user entrepreneur, and missionary identity in the sense that they hold strong beliefs in their business as a vehicle for changing some aspect of society. And the fans of Hallyu and fan-based entrepreneurship they created play a great role in transcending the cultural and social context of South Korea in Mizoram. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. It was a wonderful presentation. Sir?
Ms. Laldin, you have presented
Yeah.
an elaborate paper. One question, it may not be directly related to your paper. That
Okay, sir.
is there any impact of Korean folk culture on native culture of Mizoram, especially folk culture?
Pop culture, yeah, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Like the youth of Mizoram, they place this Korean culture, their fashion, their lifestyle, their their, for example, their cuisines, their noodles on a high pedestal. So we really and these Korean products, especially their skincare products, are blooming in the market. So and there are many Hallyu fans, fan club in Mizoram, and whenever we can see that whenever it's their idol's birthday, for example, they have an idol in the Korean boy band, and when it's their birthday, they used to put a big poster in the mall. In the Mizoram mall, like shopping mall, they used to put a big poster of their idol saying wishing them happy birthday. So we it has a I can say that it has a very large impact in every aspect of their life. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from participant?
Participants, you can ask questions now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. ID number 24.
Good morning to one and all present here. I'm Sherlyn, a part-time research scholar doing research under the guidance of Dr. G. Balasubramania Raja, Professor and Head Department of Communication, Manonmaniam Sundaranaar University, Tirunelveli. Today, I'm here to present my paper entitled Exhibition of Food in Online Platforms, a study on cultural communication among youth. First of all, let me define the term food. Food is both a necessity and a pleasure. Eating is an important part of the mass public culture. In shaping the world, food has played a major role throughout history. All human being has to eat several times a day as long as he or she lives, and each society has its own food likings and way of eating too. Next, let's see how food is related to communication. The subject of food has been extensively studied in the field of sociology, culture, history, food, nutrition, etc., but not very often in the field of communication. And obviously, there is a secret link between food and communication. And this term becomes more interesting and modern day concept due to the boom of social media. An unknown journalist stated that the history of a country can be written in its food. So from these statements, it is very clear that food is not only the need, but also it communicates itself as a showcase of culture, and even it can be expressed as the identity of a society. Now, let's discuss about how communication happens through food. Food is the most important aspect of all the events, such as birthdays, weddings, and even all the other special occasions. In this regard, the food symbolically communicates the expressions and emotions such as love, grief, happiness, life, and compassion too. Now, have a look at these three pictures. As you can see in the first picture, a boy is cutting a cake on his birthday as the symbol of expressing his joy. Similarly, the next one is a couple who is cutting a cake on the wedding as the symbol of harmony. Then third one is giving food to the needy. Here, the picture symbolically represents the act of kindness and compassion towards the needy people. Likewise, nowadays, all the special occasions of ours involving any kind of food which symbolically communicates something. Next, food communication and culture. Under this category, we can discuss mainly the concept called exhibition of food in online platform. Look at these two pictures of a male and female who is taking photograph of their food before taking a bite. So here a term arises which is phone eats first. That means taking pictures of your food before taking a bite. Nowadays, everyone has the habit of taking pictures of their meals and posting it on social media platform before even they started to eat. The exhibition of food leads to the introduction of a trending culture among youth, that is food porn. As we all know, food porn is the glamorous presentation of foods in online platform. Food porn became the latest trend among youth. The popular social media platform for this purpose is the image sharing application, which is nothing but Instagram. The hashtag food porn has more than 282 million posts on Instagram. Have a look on the picture, which is placed in the leftmost corner of the current slide. This is a screenshot which is taken yesterday. As I said earlier, this hashtag has 282 million posts under the category called food porn. Now, have a look at these pictures which I am showing now. So, do you get a strong desire to eat, or what do you feel when you look at these pictures? Isn't it appetizing? So obviously, it is very much appetizing and pleasurable to look at these pictures. According to herself, according to Rachel, it is pleasurable and it feels good to look at pictures of food. Key takeaways from this paper is myself has identified the food itself is a symbol that represents culture. The next finding is the food porn has created a severe impact among youth. And the research is further planned to find meanings associated with food communication and culture. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Very attractive presentation. And sir?
Okay. Sherlyn,
Yes, sir.
You have presented a paper on exhibition of food in online platform.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I have a question that nowadays the online platforms, especially YouTube, they are popularizing traditional food culture. What is your opinion about that? They are giving videos about how to prepare traditional food. They are now very popular.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, sir, food porn. Anyway, the glamorous presentation of food in the form of videos or in the form of images or comes under food porn. So nowadays, online platforms are very much used to communicate such things. According to my point of view, there is nothing wrong in food porn, because since eating is the most important aspect of every human being, so there is nothing wrong in food pornography.
There is also guidance from the common people about the precautions to be taken in eating food like that. Can we believe such guidance?
Anyway, everything has its own merits and demerits, sir. We can't blindly believe such things. We have to experience such things.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions from participants?
Yes, sir. Good presentation, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
What made you do research on food and communication?
Okay. As I said earlier, food is the necessity of every human being, and also it is something different from normal topics that every research scholar have chosen. So I interested to choose food like this.
Okay. Do you have any personal experience with food and communication?
Is obviously at the time of corona pandemic, I even attracted towards the term called food porn, because I even started baking cakes at home, and even I made a business through the baking. So I experienced it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, participants? Okay, thank you, ma'am. It's a nice presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. ID number 30. ID number 30.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Madam, please stop sharing your screen. ID number 24. Okay. Sir, ID number 30, you can share your screen and start the presentation.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, very good morning to everyone. My name is Shrikrishna, research scholar, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Paniya University, Salem. Thank you to SRM University for this great opportunity. Can I see you, ma'am?
Your PPT is not visible.
Yes, ma'am. Please wait.
Please keep it in a full screen.
Please wait.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Apart from the PG course, our department is running MPhil and PhD courses.
Sorry.
So, till 2018.
Possible, ma'am?
Is it there any technical issues?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please wait, ma'am.
Do you need time to fix your problem? Can I move to the next presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Please, ma'am. Please, ma'am.
Okay, you can stop sharing your screen. The ID number 48.
ஷேர் பண்றேன். ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க.
ID number 17.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you share the screen and start presentation, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
ID number 30. Please stop sharing your screen.
நான் முதல்ல உங்களுக்கு நான் ஒரு 10 நிமிஷமா அவனை வெயிட் பண்ணி ஷேர் பண்றது போயிட்டு ஷேர் பண்ணா அது எங்க இருக்கு ஒண்ணுமே.
Now you can start, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible, ma'am. You can start the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Hemalatha, a part-time research scholar, Department of Visual Communication, under the guidance of Dr. M.R. Chitramai, Assistant Professor, Department of Visual Communication, Wales University. So my topic is portrayal of farmers in the Tamil movie with a special reference to the movies Kathi, Boomi and Sultan. So Tamil cinema is notorious for stories that play on family sentiment, especially those related to motherhood. But now, lately, it's the farmer sentiment that has caught the industry's fancies. So many Tamil movies are portraying the importance of farmers in the society, and especially this present study aims to understand and analyze how farmers are portrayed in the Tamil movies, because the emotions and issues most of these conveyed in the movies are having many influence in the action of audience. So I used the content analysis to analyze the portrayal of farmers in the Tamil movies corresponding to the problems which are highlighted in the movies. Mostly they project the projection of poverty of farmers and the suicide of farmers. So I will talk about the portrayal of farmer in the Tamil cinema over time and the positive approach towards the conclusion. So here the importance of farmers and agriculture. Farmers are simply called as the backbone of India. Indian farmers has the ability to survive with the various season, climate change, soil condition, and often harsh destruction of wildfires, droughts, and floods. People from all the religion like Hindu, Christian, Islam, Sikh live in India, and they are engaged in various occupations, but agriculture is the main occupation here. Agriculture is the important part of every country, as there are also one of the major contribution to economic growth. It is the primary source of food supply in the world. Apart from the fiber that we can get, our clothes also come from the agriculture. So, influence of cinema on society and the social issues. Cinema has a positive impact on society, and it helps us in connecting to people of other cultures. Cinema connects people, act as a starter of the conversation, and also it enhances the imagination and shows the entire world multiple perspective and broaden our vision and thinking. Most importantly, it connects different cultures and introduces us to the various form of art and adds unknown information and facts of our life. Moreover, it also makes us more aware and to improvise in emergency situation. The cinema has become an influential medium in the society for culture, entertainment, and publicity. Thus, cinema has a significant influence on society and the lives of people. Cinema can be used as a tool to popularize development schemes and thus aid the reforms in the world. So, the Tamil cinema projection of farmers, problems and suicide in Tamil movies.
With immense
Nowadays, from the mother centimeter films have now moved to farmer centimeter. It is time directors look past films like this and focus on the story instead. While the agrarian crisis definitely need the attention of the public, it has been reduced to a mere visual inducer in commercial Tamil films. The introductory scene of the Amudan's Tamil Padam 2, it involves actor Shiva ramming a flying car into the coconut tree to a help of farmer in distress get his coconut. But he then utter a few lines about how much he respects farmers and think about them always. To the uninitiated, Tamil Padam 2 is the film that paradise mainstream Tamil cinema. This is the itself should give one a sense of low overused the farmer sentiment in the contemporary Tamil films. So here my objectives of the study to analyze the factor that influence the ideology of the film Kathi, Boomi, Sultan, to analyze the storyline and dialogues of these movies in the context of present position of farmers, and also I highlighted the projection of farmers in these movies and to emphasize the message conveyed in the movie in the society. So the scope of the study, Tamil movie portrayed many social issues so as to bring into the knowledge of all the people. So like in the form of a mini project. This present study has been limited only to Portrayal of Farmer in the Tamil cinema. Tamil movie highlighted the importance of farmer and their role in the national development. Tamil movies projected the farmers are poor, facing many problems, and even they couldn't manage themselves as their national important. The study is with special reference with the movies such as Kathi, Boomi, and Sultan. So here the methodology adopted in this theory empirically based on the with a limitation. Many movies were produced with the concept of farmer. Hence, a selective approach has been adopted to analyze the content. This study made use the textual analysis techniques to exhibit the presentation of the farmers from the Tamil movies. And especially this study focused on three prominent movies, Vijay's Kathi, Jayam Ravi's Boomi, and Karthi's Sultan were taken for analysis for this study. The study is based on the source film. It reviews interviews of producers and actors. Newspaper is the main source to interpret the content with original news about farmers. So here farmers problem highlighted in the this film. Let's see the first film. Boomi. So in this film, the director highlighted the problems that is faced by the farmers and their poverty, and also farmer suicide become the core for the subject that makes the audience be very emotionally. So the Veluchami is the one of the character of this film, faces crop failure resulting in the financial difficulties. It is the plot of the movie. This forces him to end his life right in front of the authorities who were responsible for this plight. So this is the main concept of this film. Mostly farmers are portrayed like they even couldn't manage their self. They are very poverty and they getting suicide. So these are the main concept all the films are showing. So boom is the quite relevant as it comes at a time when the farmers are getting against the Central 3 farm laws. So the second movie is Kathi. Every year, thousands of farmers die due to one or the other reasons in the country, which claims that the farmers are the backbone of the nation. So this is the main concept. The A.R. Murugadas directed this film Kathi. So the Kathi highlights, this film highlights the ignorance shown by us towards the problem that the farmers faces and challenges that they come across due to the globalization. So the group of farmers fight, the concept of this film, a group of farmers fight against the corporate company which wants to grab their land by hook or crook. So Jeevanandam is the character of acted by Vijay, a social activist to fight against a monstrous MNC company to restoring the farming. We have the famous dialogue in the film is 5000 கோடி வாங்கின ஒரு பீர் ஃபேக்டரி ஓனர் என்னால அந்த கடனை கட்ட முடியாதுன்னு கையை தூக்குறான். அவனுக்கு அவன் தற்கொலை பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஆனா அவனுக்கு லோன் கொடுத்த அதிகாரிகளும் தற்கொலை பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஆனா 5000 ரூபாய் கடன் வாங்கின ஒரு விவசாயி அந்த கடனை கட்ட முடியாம வட்டி மேல வட்டி ஏறி போச்சுன்னு மருந்து குடிச்சு தற்கொலை பண்ணிக்கிறான். இதெல்லாம் கவனிக்க சிட்டில இருக்கிற உங்களுக்கு நேரம் இல்லை. So this is the famous dialogue of this film acted by Vijay. So the last movie Sultan. So this movie also concentrate they couldn't manage their problem. So this is the main concept of this film. The entire film revolves around agriculture. The farmers in the village are treated only as a poverty pawn. So mostly they concentrated only poverty pawn, either poverty pawn or they couldn't manage their self or suicide concept. So unempowered, rejected, and waiting around someone to come and rescue them. So this is the main concept of this film. So farmers mostly highlighted in this movie. They projected the poverty in the movie and the suicide in the movie. So the conclusion of this film shows little and shouts more. These films are less of a film and more like a never-ending moral science lecture on agriculture and a supposed reminder of Tamil pride. These movies are perfect example of what all one should not do while basing a story on agriculture. Farmers are portrayed in the movie as they are poverty and they are committing suicide if they couldn't manage the situation. These films had a greater impact on audience. So many people, especially those who are urban, does not know the pain of farmers. These films are portrayed the same with more emotion, and this would definitely make realize the public. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a nice presentation. Sir?
Okay. Mr. Hemalatha?
Sir.
You have presented a paper on current issue. How did you select these films for your study?
Sir, actually, I selected randomly. I selected, sir. Many of the films are there, but I am randomly selected. I am the fan of Vijay, that's why I selected this movie. And randomly I selected, sir, actually.
Okay. Is there any portrayal of farmers fight against government or government laws in Tamil films?
Sir?
Like farmers protest in Delhi, no? Is there
Yes,
any
sir. Yes, sir. So
portrayal of
that one is my main thesis paper, sir. Actually, that only my thesis paper. So I concentrate UGC for this paper, sir.
Okay, okay. Any questions from
Yeah, I'm
participants?
taking social movement in the farmers projection protest in Delhi and also Tamil Nadu, sir.
Okay, okay, good.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Participants, you can ask your questions now. Okay, sir. Thank you, ma'am. ID number 30. ID number 30. You can share you can start your presentation now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, and madam, and the participants, sorry for the inconvenience. To the topic of my presentation is subaltern cultural codes and symbols in the Tamil film debut. Gone are the days, film were considered a medium of entertainment. Now it has become a revolutionary tool for social change. The aim of the research is to identify the cultural codes and symbols of laws that is visualized and symbolized in the film called JB. According to Antonio Gramsci, the term subaltern refers to the disfranchised groups and society's lower classes. The film JB based on the real incidents which happened in 1990s in Kamapuram, Vidachalam, Karnataka districts. It has pragmatically portrayed how tribal communities are routinely exploited by the other communities and by institutions that misuse their powers. The film truthfully shown real events and has shown the seeds of change. The movie has captured the inclusive view of the tribals, which has been unintelligible and mysterious to the other communities until now. The injustice and sufferings done to them are completely expressed through the scenes, dialogues, music, silence, and emotions. This review dissects the color, core scenes, and characters of the film using the symbols and hidden motives of its creator. My research methodology is semantic analysis. It is the approach to studying signs and symbols that contains a message that hidden aesthetically. This paper codes the symbols and signs portrays the cultural, social, and economic states of the particular subaltern community called Irlas in the Jabin film. Each and every characters, frames, and scenes in the Jabin movie will give all the answers of my research questions. These are the different types of my approaches in my analysis. Socio-economic position of Irlas. As seen regarding trapping rats, rescuing snakes, and treating venom bites, is placed intentionally to show and establish the Irla's occupation and ethnobotanical knowledge, and also show that their dependence and usage of natural resources still remains in the modern age. The village or colony represents the economic status of the Irlas. Majority of Irla community people are going as a coolie or daily wages, or they go for contractor work in the quarries or brick manufacturing companies as a bondage labor. Rivers basins of Vellaru, Balaru, and Kaveri are geographically influencing the distribution of Irla's population. Due to the extensive rice cultivation and the fact that is the rice cultivation directly influences the rodent and snake densities. Snakes, rats, and owls are the symbol to reflect the landscape. Modern social status. In the film, Dept portrays the issues of getting patta and the struggle to get basic rights like voter ID and ration cards. There are some incidents regarding attaining the patta or other rights come to light via news media. There are continuous struggle in continuing higher education for this community for getting community certificate, birth certificate, and etc. Their claims towards the reservation seats and scholarships are always deemed to get due to these basic documents. In recent years, governments, individuals, and NGOs making an effort to uplift the community. Faced of casteism from the characters in film and this society. A character, landlord or president of the sketched and portrayed as well full authority or upholder of the caste in the village. It truly reflects the true essence and structure of this caste system that is practiced in villages. Dept paints the canvas by bringing the problems in bright colors like landless communities and their struggles to get their fundamental rights. A movie states the problem of getting patta for the in-laws community and bringing the lead role to speak and act for it. Caste is the human identity, as seen with the criminals released from the prison and the police asking the caste of the convicts. The convicts reply, and the police segregate the in-laws and other scheduled caste and tribes convicts to put the charge on the cases where they did not participate. This scene shows the bias of the political system towards the marginal community. Jewel robbery done by own community person, still the tribal people was blamed. As they are from stable community, police purposefully considering them as thieves. The police was arresting a character Raja Kannu in a brutal way, and they made him almost nude in the public. In treatment of women in the police station in immoral way, like abusing by words and try to ashame the woman in physically. Education is a weapon. The film Dept had shed light on message that education is the powerful weapon to demolish the caste system and to create the awareness to the in-laws. In the last decade, subaltern culture-based filmmakers tried to convey the importance of education through their films. Even some other films which were spoken about the subaltern culture like Asuran and Pariyerum Perumal also strongly insist the importance and values of education. Using teacher as a tool. The lead role it plays as a teacher and helps the community to get fundamental rights like voting and education. And it projects in-laws' inability to communicate with the system and also tells the truth about their social status. Moral truth. A character Sengeni roles represent the moral integrity of individuals, and the character Chandru reveals that education and ideology make a man choose the right path. Controversies due to the hidden symbol. A calendar with the symbol Agni Kundam created the waves against the movie from particular community and the particular party. In my point of view, the creator had a space to bridge the gap between upper and lower class communities by using these real life incidents and making the movie based on them that occur in the 1990s. But he missed to do that. Instead of healing them, he deepened it, placing unwanted symbols like Agni Kundam. Direct approach. Judiciary scenes are used to deliver the message and facts that cause injustice to marginalized communities. Lead role mentioned the previous cases that causes same injustice to the victims, also purposefully thrown out the viewers to focus their attention and suffering of these communities. Buddha, Ambedkar, Periyar, and other communist leaders shows that the movies vocally take stands for social justice, equality by birth, color, race, sex, and economics. Film's legacy. The movie causes impact by creating conversation in mainstream media regarding Irla's problem. Government missionaries, including Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, initiated to answer troubles of Irlas by providing patta and other basic amenities. Conclusion. The film reflects the lives of the Irlas by exploring their hindrances and challenges to conducting normal life in society and illustrating their social and economic status. The film creator made justice to their struggle by bringing their problems like obtaining basic rights like getting a batta, a ration card, community certificates, and etc. And misuse of power from their authorities to the marginalized communities. The film reflects the real face of the society towards the disfranchised community. It portrayed cultural code and symbols of the day-to-day lifestyle. The importance of this JP movie that talk about the equal rights by birth, and JP talk the education is the important tool or weapon to demolish the caste system. The creator of this film clearly says in the climax, with the help of Ali character, about the equality of the marginalized community. Thank you all for listening to my presentation.
It was a nice presentation, sir.
Okay. Mr. Vanathu Suresh.
Yes, sir.
You have presented a paper on current issue. Why did you select the film Jai Bhim only?
Actually, from the last decade, there are so many films coming based on the subaltern communities, culture, sir. Before 2 to 3 decades, there were so many films like portrayed the upper community prides and all.
Oh.
Now only the audience perspective also changed and filmmakers perspective also changed. Everyone can discuss about the marginalized community people issues and problems there.
Yeah.
I'm looking, it is the positive thing in the media industry, like mainstream, like film industry.
There is a trend that glorifying the films related to upper caste and sidelining the films related to marginalized communities. What is your opinion?
Yes, media is, when compared to other media, film is it can reach a large audience, and also it can influence the people.
Yeah.
So nowadays, like modern people, the past 100 years, 200 years are almost based on the Varna system also. The modern people facing so many issues, so many torches according to the Varnas.
Yeah,
so now only the general people or general public can understand the pains and emotions of their subaltern people like Dalits or scheduled caste people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any questions from our participants?
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, I hope you have some problem. You start the presentation, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm good morning, everyone. I'm Shekhar from Monisha.M Dr University, doing PhD in communication. With this short introduction, I'm going to start my presentation here. Adivasis are the indigenous group of people living in settlement area with immense local knowledge about topographical and geographical context and other information living and livelihood, the information that they have inherited from their ancestors and earlier generation. Facilities, resourceful knowledge for varied people in the present times, the process of dissemination of information that contributes resourceful knowledge with regards living and livelihood. Is the central core of this research inquiry. In this regard, it was found that new media application and appliances have significant influence on the people. The research sought to found the media consumption of the people with special reference to the new media. Aligned with the objectives of the seminar, I would like to title my presentation as Media and its Mediation among Kani indigenous people towards their empowerment. My engagement with this beautiful and pleasant group of people called Kani started during my pre-research program days when I went for the field visit. Later, I was fascinated by the enormous amount of information that they had with regards to life and living. The presentation is based on primary research that was done earlier. About my study, Kanis are the indigenous group of people living in selected part of Western Ghats. The knowledge of Kani in terms of their familiarity with new media is significant. Kani people are mostly bilingual. They speak Tamil and Malayalam. It is believed that the reality of cultural, technological, and social shifts is influencing their living and lifestyle. The emergence of new media is believed to be key factor among them. About Kani people, it is estimated through 36 types of rural or residing in Tamil Nadu. Kani tribes residing in Agastya Malai of Kanyakumari district is one of the most important community in Tamil Nadu. Kani tribes are primarily a semi-nomadic community of the primitive people and settled in the secondary hills. They have been from Kerala and they are animistic in their beliefs. Objectives of my research is to observe the lifestyle of Kani people, to know about their livelihood in the community, and to access their media consumption, especially new media for social, economical, and cultural development. About my methodology, the methodology of my research was the study was conducted through the observational method. First, the researcher has visited the tribal area in Kanyakumari district and collected necessary data. Second, village people were informally interviewed and observed. The dependent variables were tried to explain their lifestyle livelihood towards the development of their social, economical, cultural upliftment. The livelihood status of Kani people is basically agrarian-based vocation like tapping rubber for latex, tapioca cultivation, and other small vegetable cultivation. The agricultural products are marketed by them in open markets or in some cases through dedicated outlets. Education of Kani. Kani education is a key to real empowerment. Education is a backbone for every society, including tribal society, but the saddest part of reality is they still lack in education. From my field survey, it is evident that there is a primary government school up to 5th standard which is accessible for young children of the Kani society. Due to the lack of source, the higher education majority of the students went to local towns for their studies. And then influence of media. New media is the new normal media of the day. It's quite obvious the new media application and appliances have intruded to the life and living of Kani people. The term intrusion is not to be taken in negative tone, but the new media intrusion can add value to the dissemination of the local knowledge to wider audience. It is to be observed information gathering for various aspects have increased inversely in the same way the potential of new media can be used to disseminate the indigenous knowledge for better livelihood. Then cultural changes. The younger Kani people have less knowledge towards their traditional medicinal plants which used to treat their disease. This may be due to the lack of willingness in knowledge transmission. Traditional cultural practice like festival and other ritual gets disintegrated due to the access and mobility to the town. The lack of awareness on education has made some parents denying their children's education. So here I am going to conclude my presentation. My observation made from the peripheral area of the Tachamali settlement of Kani, people as follow. The usage of modern appliance. The usage of modern appliances has been degraded, so it's difficult for the urban community to connect with the rural people due to their weaker economic rate and the lack of awareness about education. The children of Kani have been prohibited to continue their higher educations. Although the connectivity with the urban people are notably low, the livelihood status of Kani selling their own cultivated products in the shop named Kani Karagal located in Tirunelveli is remarkable. Social changes are taking place with the exposure to new information, entertainment, and learning. Kani tribes are becoming conscious of their people living styles, environment, and the large
Sir, you're not audible. So please check your mic. ID number 48. So please check your mic. ID number 48. ID number 48. Sir, I think some technical problem.
Okay.
We are not able to reach him. So,
I think
sir,
we can't ask questions also.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to text him also. There is no reply from his side. So can we end the session, sir?
Okay.
Okay, sir. So he's the last participant in the today's session.
Okay.
Okay, sir. And thank you so much, sir. Can you conclude the session, sir?
Okay. Respected organizers and dear participants, there were 8 papers on different topics. These topics were very interesting because most of the topics were on my area of interest. I am so happy to chair this session. As you know, media have played an important role in spreading the culture. But after COVID-19, there is a negative impact on the culture. Most of the media are not giving more space to Indian culture, especially the traditional culture. There is a threat that is to popularize the uniform culture and sidelining the diversities of culture. Some papers discuss those issues. Then there are many threads on freedom of speech and expression. As you know, now the most of the media houses are am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
I lost connection.
Okay, sir.
Okay. There are many pressures on media. Then also there is another trend that there is in new media, there is no filtering of the programs or messages. So there are spreading of the fake news and misinformation. So the media people, then also the communication scholars and communication teachers, we should be very careful. We should try to spread the true information to the people. We should create awareness about the misinformation and fake news. So all these papers discuss all relevant issues and current issues. I congratulate all the paper presenters, and I thank the organizers, especially Professor Subramania Raja, Professor Ans, Dr. Nelson Mandela, and Ms. Pragathi. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir. Your presence made a great contribution for the young researchers to the research community. Thank you, sir. Now, can we end the session, sir?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Participants, congratulations. You had done a very good job. Really very interesting presentation and really a good contribution for the research community. Now you can leave the meeting and the feedback forms will be mailed to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.